Force in Beijing, thanks so much. And one of the key issues that's on the agenda during the day two sessions is expected to be, of course, environmental protection. A main concern in China is the dense smog and the haze that covers much of the country. Premier Li Keqiang recently vowed to declare war against pollution. Earlier, I spoke with Jennifer Turner about this initiative. She is director of the China Environment Forum at the Woodrow Wilson Center.
To control air pollution, for example, and where officials would just get rewarded or not punished for they would just install the equipment but not turn it on. And now there's supposed to be punishments that if the air quality doesn't improve in cities, that officials will lose their job. You know, I mean, and so in theory, that should be one of the low-hanging fruits to just start, I tell you, addressing the smog problem. Turn on the air pollution control equipment.
The interesting thing, though, is I grew up in Southern California, and there elected officials were like, hey, we got to do something about the smog. And then you can take the steps, but it's not something tangible where the next day you come outside and you've got clean air. So obviously, the electorate, the people, the citizens, they want the smog gone. But realistically, how soon can you see really tangible changes?
I mean, what we are seeing now and are going to see for a while are going to be these Band-Aids, where they're going to shut down plants, stop construction, so there's that relief in the times when the winds are not blowing in the way to get the smog out of the way. But I've been telling a lot of people that China has to, they have to do what they're doing, but they have to do it better and even faster. And one of the biggies, I mean, changing just the whole mindset on thinking about coal. I mean, and working towards much, much more energy efficiency. I mean, energy efficiency in China could be half the battle. I mean, the big challenge is that their electricity use just keeps growing. And you've had people in here talking about how many renewables they put online with solar. Last year, they installed more solar PV panels than we have in the United States today, just last year in China.
Wow.
And so they do things at a scale, but because their electricity use is it's doubling again, and coal's there, and coal is king, and king is dirt, and the king is very dirty, it doesn't change things. And so there has to be a serious rethinking of coal. And we're seeing some serious hints about, all right, starting to, not only to put scrubbers on the coal-fired power plants, but to maybe start putting more pressure on the coal industry to be more efficient. But they need more demand-side management. You can't just keep supplying coal to keep the economy going. And I know Li Keqiang is talking about slowing down GDP growth, and if you slow the economic growth, that slows the electricity consumption, and that helps too.
Worst case scenario, though, things don't happen as quickly as they should. What do we see? I mean, what does it look like?
Well, I mean, I would like to think that, in facing this kind of challenge, that something will have to change. But I believe that you're going to see some problems with economic growth. I mean, that we've heard, there's some anecdotally, and then I think increasingly going to be less than anecdotes about investment will go down, health problems. I mean, I don't see, like I said, it's not a collapse of China from this, because I think the pressure's too great.
But as somebody yourself involved in this process, what do you think when you see these other countries where their economies are starting to, kind of churn up very much like India and China and Brazil? I mean, you're looking at a future of more pollution, basically.
It is, but also, but then also when I look at these issues, I also have to look at our own country in the United States here, that a lot of it, the investment, like it's a global economy. I sometimes say there's like kind of a cash and carry karma element to pollution, for example, that, a lot of US investment that went into China, some of the dirty industries, but also, China, did you know that like 25% of their electricity goes for producing goods for export? Mm. And then and surprise, surprise, some of the pollution that we're seeing in China kind of waves across the ocean and hits us. So what comes around goes around. And so there is an issue of the global supply chain as well. And that we are seeing in China, like for example, this is not about air, but about water, that you're seeing like in the textile industries, the big companies that make clothes here that are investing in China, they're starting to come under pressure by shareholders and consumers, like, well, are your products clean and green? Kind of go down the supply chain. A lot of IT companies, Apple and other, coming under pressure for whether or not their supply chain is green. So while it's not the main driver, there is an element of the whole globe's involved. I mean, China is our factory.
We all have a role to play.
We all have a role to play.